Picture a bike show where every price tag looks like a misprint. 600cc V-twins for under $7,000, a belt drive bagger that's cheaper than a set of flagship Öhlins, and a 310mm rear tire so gargantuan it's only 45mm shy of what Bugatti bolts to a Chiron. We're not dreaming. We're dyno-testing the fire sale fleet that's sending forums into meltdown and finance managers into a frenzy. This is part one of a Chinese cruiser showdown. So grab a helmet and a calculator, because the only thing more shocking than the spec sheets is the invoice at the end. The Benda LFC700, a bike built on a revolutionary, almost insane idea, taking the screaming soul of an inline-4 superbike and stuffing it into the feet-forward body of a cruiser. But does blending two completely different worlds create a game-changing masterpiece, or just a beautiful disaster that doesn't quite work? Let's find out. On paper, this thing is pure theater. The LFC700 is Benda's boldest statement yet. A machine that screams innovation. Your eyes immediately snap to two things. First, that engine. It's a 676 cubic centimeters, liquid-cooled inline-4. It promises around 84 horsepower and revs to over 10,000 RPM. Pure sport bike DNA in a world dominated by thumping V-twins. And then, there's the rear tire. At 310 millimeters, it is the widest stock tire on any mass-produced motorcycle. Period. It's wider than a Ducati Diavel or a Triumph Rocket 3, and it gives the bike an undeniable, almost cartoonishly aggressive stance. Combined with a super long 1,720 millimeter wheelbase and futuristic lighting, this bike promises to be a new breed of sport cruiser. Swinging a leg over, the low 695 millimeter seat that's only 27.3 inches helps make its hefty 287 kilograms or 632 pounds feel surprisingly manageable. Firing it up produces a sound completely alien in the cruiser world. Not a lumpy V-twin rumble, but a high-pitched wail as you climb the revs. Pulling away, the slipper clutch is light and the 6-speed gearbox is slick. The engine is buttery smooth, but it loves to be revved. This is not a bike that enjoys chugging along at low RPM. To get any real power out of it, you have to ride it like a sport bike. The feet-forward position is comfy for cruising in a straight line, and the KYB suspension does a decent job soaking up bumps. But on the highway, vibrations creep through the pegs, and the short gearing means you're sitting at high RPMs just to maintain cruising speed, which isn't very relaxing. And this is where the dream meets hard reality. How does a bike this heavy with a rear tire the size of a car actually handle a corner? With a whole lot of persuasion. At low speeds, that massive tire loves to follow every crack in the road, a phenomenon known as tram lining. To get this bike to turn, you can't just think about it. You need to give a firm, deliberate push on the wide handlebars. You really have to bully it into a corner. But when pulled over, you can appreciate the parts list, especially for the price. No official US price is released yet, but it is estimated to be around the $10,000 price point. And for that coin, you get dual 320mm front discs with Brembo calipers, giving you strong, reliable stopping power when you need it most. The 5-inch full-color TFT screen is bright and clear, and you get modern safety nets like dual-channel ABS. What's missing, however, are features like selectable riding modes, which feels like an odd omission for a machine so focused on its high-performance engine. Look, that 310mm rear tire just blew your mind. Don't pretend it didn't. Smash the like so hard it tram lines, punch subscribe like you're downshifting a slipper clutch, and ring that bell louder than this inline-4 at $10,000. Do it now or the algorithm will make you ride a 150cc single forever. Our second bike on our list is the CFMoto 450C LC. CFMoto says that compromise is officially over. They're claiming this bike changes everything. They've given it an engine with some real soul, tech you'd normally find on bikes costing thousands more, and a build quality that feels way too good for its price tag. So is it all hype, or is this really the new prince of the small cruisers? First impressions. This thing looks incredible. It's got that classic low-slung cruiser vibe down perfectly, but with enough modern swagger to keep it from looking like a dusty relic. The polished tank, the brushed metal touches, that round LED headlight. These are details that just don't belong on a bike starting around $5,800. You start noticing the little things like the super clean welds and the embossed fuel cap. It's clear CFMoto is paying attention to the details, and it makes you want to just hop on and ride before you even put the key in. But a pretty face only gets you so far. Let's talk about what really matters. First up, the heart of this machine, the engine. It's a 449cc parallel twin. But CFMoto did something clever. They gave it a 270-degree crankshaft. That basically means they engineered it to sound and feel more like a classic V-twin. You get this satisfying V-twin vibe that's just missing from other bikes in this class. It's putting out a claimed 40 horsepower and 30 pound-feet of torque. Enough grunt for slicing through town or hitting a twisty back road, and to keep things from getting buzzy, it has a double counterbalance crankshaft, so it stays surprisingly smooth. Then there's the tech, and this is where the 450 CLC really starts to show off. It has this gorgeous 3.6-inch round TFT screen that looks retro, but is totally modern, with Bluetooth and even turn-by-turn navigation from your phone. You're also getting dual-channel ABS and traction control. Serious safety features that are a huge deal on a bike at this price. And to make life even easier, it's got a Gates belt drive. No more chain cleaning, no more lube. That's a massive win. Around town, this bike is a dream. The seat is super low. We're talking just 685 millimeters, 27 inches, and the whole bike weighs under 180 kilograms or 400 pounds wet. That makes it incredibly easy to handle, especially at stoplights or in tight spots. Whether you're new to riding or just not the tallest person, this bike gives you a ton of confidence right away. The power is smooth and zippy, perfect for city life. But then, get it out on some winding country roads, and it holds its own. The bike feels planted and gives you good feedback when you lean into a turn, but it's not perfect. The suspension can feel a bit stiff on rough pavement, especially at higher speeds, and while the seat is fine for an hour or two, it'll start to feel a little firm on a longer haul. It's a fantastic cruiser, just maybe not your first choice for a cross-country tour. The J-Juan brakes feel nice and predictable, and knowing that ABS has your back is a great feeling. Next on our list is the Moto Morini Calibro 700 bagger Italian sole with Chinese production cost control. First things first, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Moto Morini was born in Bologna, Italy, way back in 1937. Earning its reputation with gorgeous, character-filled V-twins. But today, the brand is owned by the Chinese Zhongneng Vehicle Group. The Calibro is assembled in China, and its engine is supplied by CFMoto, so don't think of it as just an Italian bike built in China. It's a blend of Italian design philosophy and Chinese manufacturing power aimed squarely at a rider who wants serious style without the sticker shock. This bike's entire reputation rides on proving that this new formula actually works. All right, let's get into the hardware. Underneath that tank, you're not getting a classic Morini V-twin. Instead, there's a 693 cubic centimeter liquid-cooled parallel twin. It puts out a very sensible 68 horsepower and 50.2 foot-pounds of torque. On paper, that doesn't exactly scream American bagger. But the engine is tuned for low and mid-range punch, which is exactly what you want for cruising. It spoons out its power smoothly, making it a total breeze to ride around town. Plus, you get a quiet, low-maintenance Gates belt drive, a premium touch you don't always find at this price. It's not trying to mimic the lumpy character of a big V-twin, it's just a solid, effective parallel twin that gets the job done. But an engine is only half the battle. Does it have the Italian handling to match? This is where that Italian DNA is really supposed to come through. The Calibro is built on a double steel cradle frame. Not some high-tech trellis, but a classic, sturdy design. You've got a 41mm conventional fork up front and a pair of preload adjustable dual shocks in the back. You're not getting fancy Brembo brakes here. It's a single 320mm disc up front with a J-Juan caliper. For a cruiser, the bike feels surprisingly nimble, weighing in around 210 kilograms or 462 pounds for this bagger model. It's pretty clear where the compromises were made. The suspension is basic, and on rough roads, you're gonna feel it. This isn't a bike that will reward you for getting aggressive in the corners. The foot pegs are low, and you'll be scraping them if you get a little too carried away. But that's not the point of this bike. For cruising around town and leaning into long highway sweepers, the Italian-tuned chassis feels competent and predictable. It's comfortable, and with a low 710mm, 28.3-inch seat height, it's accessible for just about any rider. So what about the bagger part? It comes with a neat batwing fairing and hard-sided luggage. The bags aren't huge, but they're perfectly functional for a weekend getaway. The dash is a simple analog gauge with a small digital screen, not a big TFT display, and there's no cruise control. These are the trade-offs, but the MSRP for this bagger is $6,799. Yeah, let that sink in. For under $7,000, you get a brand new fully dressed bagger with a 3-year unlimited mileage warranty. The Calibro isn't perfect. The suspension is basic, and it's missing some of the latest tech, but it absolutely delivers on its core promise: bagger style and a fun, easy ride for a price that's almost impossible to believe. Moto Morini didn't just build a budget bike, they threw down a gauntlet. They built a statement that says good looks, Italian design, and the freedom of the open road don't have to cost a fortune anymore. Then what if I told you that for less than the price of a lot of used bikes, you could get a brand new V-twin bobber with all the style and tech you could possibly want? No, this isn't some stripped-down, bare-bones machine. I'm talking a liquid-cooled V-twin, a quiet belt drive, dual-channel ABS, and even traction control. This is the Benda Napoleon Bob 500, and it might just be the best deal on two wheels right now. This bike right here is proof that some new brands are out to completely shake things up. Benda isn't just slapping a generic engine into a cookie-cutter frame. They're all about in-house engine development and original design, and man, does it show. The Napoleon Bob 500 is their big statement in the middleweight class. The first thing that grabs you is the aggressive, almost custom-built styling. That solo seat looks like it's just floating over the massive 180-section rear tire, giving it that classic hardtail bobber vibe. Up front, you've got these wild, flying wing handlebars that create a sporty, aggressive posture. And check out the front forks. They have these unique shrouds that mimic the look of an old-school girder front end, which is a fantastic retro touch that really sets it apart. It's all tied together with blacked-out components and just the right pop of gold or titanium-colored accents on the engine, making it feel like a premium, custom ride straight from the factory. At its core is a 476 cubic centimeter liquid-cooled dual overhead cam V-twin that puts out an A2 license-friendly 47 horsepower and about 31 pound-feet of torque. This engine is built for smooth, responsive power that's perfect for cruising through the city and having a blast on winding back roads. That power gets to the back wheel through a 6-speed gearbox with a slipper clutch function, which is a great touch for smoother downshifts. But the real headline here is the final drive. Instead of a messy chain, the Napoleon Bob 500 uses a belt drive. It means a quieter, smoother ride and a whole lot less maintenance. And the tech doesn't stop there. Benda loaded this bike up with a full suite of modern safety features. You get dual-channel ABS and standard traction control. The braking hardware is impressive too, with a big 320mm disc up front grabbed by a 4-piston radial caliper. So what's it like to actually ride? Throw a leg over the Napoleon Bob, and the first thing you'll notice is just how approachable it is. The seat height is a super low 695mm, or just 27.3 inches. This means pretty much any rider can flat-foot it with confidence, making it a fantastic choice for new or shorter riders. The forward controls and those wide flying wing bars put you in that classic commanding bobber stance. And once you get moving, that 47 horsepower V-twin is a ton of fun. It's not going to rip your arms off, but it delivers usable, enjoyable power all through the rev range. The suspension provides a surprisingly plush ride for a bobber, soaking up bumps way better than you'd think for a bike with this much style. Weighing in at 215 kilograms or 473 pounds wet, it feels solid and planted on the road without being a beast to manage. So let's break it down. The Benda Napoleon Bob 500 is making a serious play for the top spot in the budget cruiser market, and it's got a pretty strong argument. The pros are crystal clear. First, the value is just insane. For around $6,400, you're getting a V-twin engine, belt drive, ABS, and traction control. Second, the styling is a massive home run. It looks like a custom bike you've already sunk thousands into right off the showroom floor. And third, it's packed with quality components that inspire confidence. So, what about the cons? Well, for some riders, the biggest question is going to be the brand itself. Benda is a newer player, especially in some markets, so long-term reliability and dealer network size are still growing. Taller riders might find the ergonomics a bit tight, and while it handles great for a bobber, those wide tires and relaxed geometry mean it's definitely more of a cruiser than a canyon carver. All right, picture this, a 600cc V-twin belt-driven cruiser. Now, what if I told you it costs less than $7,300? That sounds completely made up, right? But a brand new company, ZXMoto, actually figured out how to build a killer high-spec cruiser for this price. This is the ZXMoto 600V. At first glance, the ZXMoto 600V definitely looks the part. It's got this muscular, modern cruiser style that doesn't immediately give off budget bike vibes. The heart of this machine is a 578 cubic centimeter V-twin engine. In a world full of parallel twins, getting a real V-twin at this price is almost unheard of. But the feature that really makes you do a double take is the belt drive. That means quiet, smooth, and super low maintenance power delivery, something you usually have to pay a serious premium for. But it just keeps getting crazier. The bike also has an inverted front fork, dual rear shocks, and a really accessible 710mm or 28-inch seat height. The most unbelievable number, though, is the weight. ZXMoto is claiming a wet weight of just 179 kilograms. That's only 395 pounds. That would make it way lighter than its competition, which should mean it's incredibly easy to handle. And here's the final kicker, a piece of tech that's completely unique in this class: rear cylinder deactivation. This bike can actually shut down one of its cylinders, probably to save fuel and cut down on heat when you're stuck in traffic. That's technology you'd expect on a motorcycle that costs 2 times as much. Honestly, it's a spec sheet that just doesn't seem possible for the price. But let's be honest, credibility is everything. And if you're feeling skeptical, you have every right to be. On paper, the 600V should be an absolute blast to ride. That lightweight frame paired with the torquey V-twin should give you a punchy, agile experience. You'd expect it to jump off the line, be easy to flick around town, and that belt drive should make everything buttery smooth with minimal vibration. But the real questions are all about refinement. What does that V-twin actually feel like? Is the power delivery smooth, or is it choppy and unrefined? How does the suspension feel when you hit a real-world bump? Does the bike feel solid, or are you going to hear weird rattles and find cheap plasticky parts? ZXMoto is promising the moon here. The founder has a solid track record, and the company is even entering the World Supersport Championship in 2026 to prove its engineering chops. This isn't just about moving cheap units, it's about building a reputation for performance. But a race team on the other side of the world doesn't guarantee your cruiser is going to be reliable. The biggest question marks are long-term dependability and whether you'll even be able to find a dealer for parts and service. So let's tie this all together. Is the ZXMoto 600V a game-changing bargain or a disaster waiting to happen? The pros are impossible to ignore. You're getting a 600cc V-twin, a belt drive, a shockingly low weight of 179 kilograms, and advanced tech like cylinder deactivation, all for $7,300. The value here is staggering. On paper, it's not just good for the money, it's mind-blowingly good. But the cons are just as real. ZXMoto is a brand new company. They have zero track record for reliability. The dealer network is going to be tiny, if it exists at all, and that could turn into a massive headache down the road. And anytime something is this aggressively priced, you have to ask yourself, where did they save the money? So there you have it, 5 bikes, 5 wallets left breathing a sigh of relief, and we're only halfway through the bamboo forest. In part 2, we're dropping 5 more Chinese haymakers, and you do not want the algorithm hiding them from your feed. So lock in now, tap subscribe, and hit that bell so hard your phone vibrates like a 270 crank at idle. Thanks for watching, ride safe, ride hard, and I'll see you in part 2.